Okay, perfect. So I have shared my screen with the Zoomers, sharing my screen with Screencastify so that I am recording everything. Okay, so we're in business. We're recording. Woo, it's getting easier and easier. Let me actually just zoom in on the screen a little bit. Oh, I don't think on Screencastify that it allows me to zoom in. And it does not. Oh wait, there it's going. Okay, cool. All right, so I created a little agenda. First of all, I know I have some newcomers in the group, so I do thank you for coming. My name is Miss Torres. I teach here at Hobart High School, specifically in the business department. I teach courses like Principles of Business Management, Principles of Marketing and Selling, Business Law and Ethics, Administrative Office Management, and work-based learning internship program, and then the work-based learning cadet teaching internship program. And I teach business law and ethics. I also teach to the ninth grade class, college and career. So I have a huge variety of different classes that I teach. So if I ever come up to say something and you might say, hey, you already said that in another setting, I repeat myself so much all day I get confused as to what I'm saying or what I'm not saying. So, we are Business Professionals of America. We are good and ready to launch our chapter here at Hobart High School. We started off last year. Just kind of focusing on community service and being able to try to increase membership within the group. That's always my goal. My goal would we have so many business students, hundreds of them. My goal would be able to get this club that we have over hundreds of members involved. So we'll get there, and that's what's important. But today's Thursday, September 24th, and I want to be respectful of your time. We won't go over past 3:30, so just kind of bear with me on that. So here's what I did Saturday morning. Last Saturday, I woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning, yes, on my day off, to actually take a 3-hour conference call. During that 3-hour conference call, I learned about everything that was going on for business professionals, post pandemic, during pandemic, COVID 19, all of the things. Here's what I want to tell you: Business Professionals of America, what the state is doing, everything for the first semester will be virtual. That doesn't mean virtual for us. We'll get to a point that we'll be able to start meeting face to face, but we'll always still have the Zoom option as well. That way, if I have students who are e learning, I get that they can't transport themselves back to the high school if they don't have transportation. So the Zoom option will always be open, but I also want to give the option for students who just want to come into the classroom as well, mostly because they know I have candy now because I can't have coffee, so I substituted it with candy. So the first semester is going to be all virtual. Business Professionals of America downstate, our state advisors, they feel very confident that we're going to go back to like being able to resume to do everything second semester. So I'm going by whatever piece of knowledge they have and keeping my fingers crossed. But here's what I want to talk to you a little bit about, what they were telling us this year, things to focus on. They talked about Torch Awards. Torch, and I forget what the acronym is for Torch and business professionals. They tell me all the time. And then what is Torch in business professionals? Okay, I'm Googling it because whenever I don't know the answer, I just Google things. Um, I don't think that Torch is actually an acronym. Sorry for my long pause. Okay, so basically they have a Torch Awards banquet, so they're very big on the Torch Awards. Here's what Torch is. Torch is you getting points, right? And the way you can get points is we started this last year's community service. So last year we did some field trips, we did some things in the community. The other thing that they're adding to Torch Awards, which are things we already do here in Hobart High School, is portfolios and everything that you would put in a portfolio. So you could get Torch points for having a portfolio, for having a resume, for having a cover letter, for having all of that completed. So that, of course, if you don't know, is sites.google.com. Where we set up our school portfolios. You guys have used this in the past in courses like interactive media. You've used it for teachers who have asked you to upload artifacts. I think for some students, the perception is that it's more of a tool for teachers and not for students. I my work-based learning internship class that I teach, which is mostly just for juniors and seniors, we really get into that portfolio, making it look good and making it presentable for either an application for work, but or most importantly for some college applications, because those links to to your websites really helps to, a college help to find you. So then, of course, so resumes, portfolios, community services, they're very big on Torch Awards this year, and they're trying to get every chapter to upload their Torch accomplishments. So I'll get into what that's going to be like. We're all going to have like a login to a website, and we'll be able to track the stuff that we've done last year and then track any new things that we're doing this year. Membership dues. So there's going to be a membership for the club. It's $25. Last year, we started a fundraiser called the Coupon Book Fundraiser. I'm going to actually grab it. So the Coupon Book Fundraiser went for sale for $20. And this is what it is. You might have seen it in the past, just like around the neighborhood, right? It's a small business by Adrienne Balboa. Look at me trying to like get this perfectly even. It's a small business by Adrienne Balboa. They go for $20 right there. This book actually doesn't expire until June of 2021. It is just 20 bucks, and we make a 50% profit on this. So you could sell 3 of these books, make $30, and be able to cover your membership fee. If you're not into fundraising, you could just write me a check for 25, bring me cash, and we can go from there. I had students last year who have had this. So if you were in my club last year and you still have these books, you could sell them, or if you have sold them, please bring them back to me. Really bring back any unsold books and bring back any money from books that you did sell. So the membership dues, just so you know what that covers, it covers regional costs, which is $2. It covers state costs, which can be like $7 to $9, and it also covers national fees, which is like $14 to $15. So my state advisor just said it's just easiest to collect $25 from each student. We hold that in account here at the high school. So that is one thing to know. And the membership dues, the membership gives you access to the Business Professionals Indiana website. The Business Professionals of America Indiana website gives you a login and allows you to be more engaged and involved in the BPA community. BPA is the acronym that's always used. So I want to talk about the officer position because that's what I stated we would be talking about. Wiping my nose on video. Of course I am. I said that we would be talking about officers on the announcement. So here's who our officers were last year, and their and their positions were so short lived because we kind of waited a little bit before we put in officers, and then of course COVID hit, and it just was kind of like on a delay of things. So as we were trying to get things started, that kind of held us back. But this list, Haley, Alex, Lily, Jamie, and Noah, those were our officers last year. And then, of course, I highlighted the officers that the positions I'm looking to fill here for the 2021 school year. So if you're interested in a position, I'm going to be giving you guys here before this meeting ends a Google form, an online Google form that you're going to fill out, and I'll probably send it out via the Remind text. So in a few minutes, I'll get everyone to go on Remind. If you're interested in a position, they are as president. This is the leader of all officers and members. Then there's the vice president, second in command to president, leader to members. Secretary, this is our note taker of meetings and also our contributor to our ideas. Our secretary is who kind of keeps us in track. They're taking notes of everything that's being said. I'm a talker, so I love to have a good note taker because I always say my leadership style is I'm a delegator, not a doer. And I always appreciate someone that can just kind of contribute to ideas where they can say, hey, last week you guys were talking about this fundraiser, kind of going into this, but maybe my idea is we stick to what we were trying to already talk about. They're able to have past memos and everything. I always call the secretary kind of like the grandma or grandpa of the group. You know how grandparents like, well, you're talking too fast. Can we talk about what we did yesterday? That's what our secretary is going to do. Then we have our treasurer. Our treasurer is going to be in charge of fundraising, coming up with fundraising ideas, how we make more money. I will be in charge of taking and receiving monies. They're just going to be in charge of kind of the accounting aspect of it. And of course, a little bit of finance as well. The treasurer may say, hey, there's this fundraiser where we can make $5,000. Like, that would be awesome to throw into our account. How can we get it launched? So the treasurer is always going to be out there looking for money ideas for us. Then I need a historian. Our historian is going to be our social media consultant. Their role as a historian, and I didn't even put this here, the role of everyone is always to obtain members, right? But the historian also works a lot on membership. So the historian's always sharing what's happened in the past, what's happening current, and what's going to happen in the future. So my thoughts with the historian is they would run our social media page. We do have an Instagram page, Hobart HS Business on Instagram. I also want to start a Twitter page as well. So I will leave the historian to start that. I'll have a login and membership. You'll have a login and membership. The historian will. And then all the officers, as things need to be shared, they would give it to the historian. The historian would share that on social media for us. So once and then of course, just a standard member where you're like, you know what? I just kind of want to be here. I don't know if I want any too much to be in charge. I got a lot on my plate. So you may say, I'm just looking to become a member, to participate in competitions and community service through Torch. Competitions. So let's talk about what that's going to look like. To competitions, each member can compete in 2 categories. So we're going to have a regional competition this semester. State competition doesn't happen until second semester. They're stating that we should be in the clear and we would be able to travel to Indianapolis for that state competition. So again, fingers crossed on that. I'm really hoping. Members can compete in 2 categories. You can either compete in 2 group or 2 individual, or 1 group and 1 individual, but you can't compete in any more than 2 categories. And when I show you what some of these categories are, it'll make sense for you. Here's a few that when I was on my conference call and I was talking to other advisors across the state that their chapters have worked on. Financial literacy is one, administrative support, and I've got a catalog that goes into detail of all this. If you're wondering, what does that mean? I'm just throwing out the titles. Digital game design, I guess this one's been really popular. People know how to do this. Then there's personal finance management, payroll, accounting, business administration, global marketing campaign, small business management, website design, new podcast team. The podcast one is so new. So if people have maybe taken radio and TV, or they're just good at doing voiceovers on videos, podcast is a new one. Then there's an accounting category, and you can actually use the book. And then there's broadcast news. And then there's interview skills. Interview skills is always my favorite. I always think that's the easiest one. I always encourage people start with interview skills first. And we can do it as a chapter where we say, all members are going to compete in the same category, where every single person is going to compete in website design. Every single person is going to compete in interview skills, and we could just focus on 2 little categories. Or depending on what members want to do, someone may say, hey, you know what? I've taken marketing. I'm in marketing right now. I would love to dabble in that marketing. We may have people that have like, hey, I've taken business management already. I'm all about the small business management. I'd love to compete in that category. And then, of course, I ended this with info that would be needed on the Google form. I'm going to pull up that Google form because I want you to see what it looks like before I share it. And then I'm going to open up the floor to some questions from you guys. Now you get to see what's all over my screen here. All right. I didn't title it, of course, but I know that this one's mine. Okay, let me title it because it'll just bother me that it's not titled. Oh, it is titled. Ha. Okay. There is my Grammarly trying to reset it. Okay. No, I don't need you today, Grammarly. Thank you. Okay, so if you're interested in moving forward with our chapter, I ask that you complete this form. It's asking for your name, asking for your grade level. How did you hear about this club? And there's also a category, I'm pointing this out, where the chapter is asking for GPAs. there's not a GPA requirement for this club, and this GPA information stays confidential between me and you. It's not distributed or relinquished to other members of the team. So it's just for record keeping. In addition, the state wants to know what our ethnicity is, so you would fall into one of these categories. You don't fall into two, you only fall into one for ethnicity. You fall into multiple categories when it comes down to your race, just in case you didn't know that. Membership, I'm asking two questions. Yes, I would like to be a member of Business Professionals of America at Hobart High School, or yes, I would like to be a member and run for an officer position too. Then I put a checkbox here. Check your preferred membership role. I'm going to start with the top. Obviously, I said president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, historian. Then I clicked member. So let's just say you want to be like a secretary and a member. Oh, of course, because it's my form, I can't. I'm so silly. Let me go back to view. Because it's my form, it's not going to let me check the boxes, thinks I'm editing it. Okay, so obviously if you are running for an officer position, like if you're running for president, you can state like, okay, if I'm not president, I'm still going to be a member. You can also check as a member, I'm also interested in competing locally and downstate. Being part of Business Professionals of America does not require you to compete with us. I would love it if you would compete with us, but it does not require it. If people choose not to compete and we are going to state and whatnot, they just won't be able to go to state. But even if you're not competing, I'll always invite you to join in virtually. So I've got to remind, and that is where I will always distribute information. So like in your cell phone, if you open up a new text, you would text 81010, and in the message, you're going to put the @ handle, BPA HHS 2021. So if you do that, you could do that right now. That'll put you into our group where I'm always sending out reminders. And then, of course, if you're on the gram, you can follow us there. Go on to Instagram. We're at Hobart HS Business. If you don't have an Instagram, you're still working on that, that's okay. I'm just putting it out there that we have an Instagram page. So that was a lot that I just covered in a very short amount of time. So I want to know, curious from you guys, I'm going to check the chat room, what kind of questions we have. All right. Let's see where we are. Okay. Okay, so someone said, I really want to be the historian, please. So Mia, I see that you have that. Mia, that would require though, to be the historian, you would have to get an Instagram page. So if you are choosing to be the historian, I do ask that you have permission to use Instagram app. And perhaps maybe, your parents may say, yeah, you can do Instagram only if you're doing it for Business Professionals of America. Okay, so Mia just put out an elevator pitch. That's awesome. Owen's like, she's already out there. Remember, Owen? That's why we did that in class today. And Mia's already like, I'm there with the elevator pitch. Okay, so I covered a lot today. What I mostly wanted to cover is to get people to fill out the Google form, to show where their interest is, to find out who is looking to become officers. That way we can once you guys put out the thing for officers, I'm going to ask you to probably do a quick little type out of an elevator pitch, just kind of like how Mia did, and then we'll vote on officers. Like our next meeting next Thursday, I'll have like, here's all your people, here's all their elevator pitches of who they want to become, and then we'll choose votes from there. I usually do in person, or I thought about doing video. My fear with video right now, with us being so virtual, is that someone's video is going to lag, or it just won't transform over. So that's my biggest concern there. Mia was asking, where's the Google form? I'm going to give it to you right now. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys all a second to go on your phones and go into Remind. And go ahead and make yourselves, get yourself set up on that little Remind. I'm trying to go back to the Zoom chat. Okay. if you could go into Remind and text to 81010, and then in the message box at HHS BPA 2021, that will get you the, oh, I already put out the membership form on Remind. So you should be able to see the link there. Where will meetings be every Thursday? Great question, Brooke. We will always meet in my room, which is 1314. Oh, I almost forgot my room number. It'll meet in our room, but we will always have the Zoom link available as well. I'll let you know by next Thursday if we're going to have face-to-face or if we're just going to be doing Zoom. So this link that you have, Brooke, that's where you'll be able to always access. And I'll always put out on Remind, like, hey, here's the Zoom link. We're going to be meeting today at 3 o'clock. And will there be officer meetings? Yes, great question. There will be just meetings where only the officers will be meeting. It'll probably be like in a Zoom breakout room or just officers will be meeting. We will probably always hold officer meetings after our general meeting. Like, let's just say we're having a 3 o'clock meeting, 3 to 3:30, and then of course 3:30 to 4, we may just be meeting as officers. On the form it asks for a GPA, but I'm a freshman and we don't have. Oh, that's true, Owen. You don't have it. So just put NA. Don't worry about it. It's no biggie. I didn't even think about that freshmen don't have GPAs yet. And of course, this is stuff that is more like state documentation. So they will probably want that like when we go down state, which is second semester. So by then you would have a GPA. But for now, you could just put NA, not applicable. Says you need just put 000. Put 00, Owen, for the Remind. I think what I'm going to do, because you said it's required, I'm going to actually make that unrequired because I don't want anyone to be confused on there. Okay, I fixed it. All right. So I'm going to go back. I talked about Torch. So we have all these opportunities. So if we get a lot of Torch points, we can get Torch awards as chapters, and you can get Torch awards individually as members. So I feel like that's like an easy money in the bag for us, because at Hobart we already do so much of all of that. So we'll work in a club to create some dynamic resumes. That's one thing that I want us all to have as a club. And once we get our officers involved, then we're going to start talking about Owen. Yeah, if you're in Remind, Owen, you'll find it there. I'm waiting for a few more people to join Remind, and then I'm going to resend out this little membership form. All right. What's the code for Remind? So you text to 81010, text to that, and then in the message, I'm typing this out, type out at HHS BPA 2021. Okay, there we go. I got you in there. And for becoming an officer, can we still compete and do fundraisers? As an officer, you're expected to compete and you are expected to participate in fundraisers too. Great question. My brain just stopped for a second. Okay, so I talked about Torch Awards. I talked about membership dues. So you can communicate with me on Remind if you're like, hey, I'm going to become a member and I would like to sell coupon books to cover my membership fee. And then next week, I'll start presenting more of what those competition areas look like so that I can get you guys the catalogs. They've given me like this long list. So there's all these Zoom calls that I have, like what comes next after business professionals, a chapter advisor, your perfect competition is our mission. So there's all these Zoom calls that they're working on, recordings that once they are all recorded, I have the links, I will send them to you. I paid $25 for us to have all of this. There's a day in the life of a state officer position. So it's cool we have local officers for us. They're also going to be recruiting state officer positions. Those wouldn't start until June of 2021, but they always recommend being a local officer before you start with the state officer. So the thing about business professionals is it's worldwide. It's worldwide. I'm saying worldwide. It is within the United States of America. Um, a very well-known club. It goes back 30 plus years. I was a member of it in the 90s in high school. I credit this club to the success that I have today. I competed at the regional level. I competed statewide. I competed in the category of interview skills, and I got first place in the state of Indiana. Um, I don't know. Maybe I just didn't have good competition, but it was so much fun going downstate and competing. We also had the opportunity to compete nationwide. At that time, our high school never let any kind of extracurriculars go on a nationwide. So like for dance, we never got to go nationally, even though we qualified. And for business professionals, we qualified and we didn't get to go. Thankfully at Hobart High School, that doesn't exist, you know? So nationals can be held from Florida to Washington, D.C. to California. And if we qualify, then we're going to fundraise and we're going to get on a plane and we're going to go. Okay. So that's what I'm excited for. Owen says, how should I submit the $25? Do I just give it to the high school and student services and tell them it's for BPA? Yes, Owen. Attention, Miss Torres. That's exactly how you do it. And Jamie says, I just turned in my leftover coupon books to the school today. Thank you, Jamie. That's awesome. All right, so it's 3:32. I went over 2 minutes on time. I apologize for that. I'm going to stop the recording.